when they see you walk in the door with your red hat, they're taking deep breaths and shaking their head.
Of course, I'm a lightning rod, and I'm purposely trying to bring that energy. Philadelphia has extremely high crime. It's extremely violent. Our school district is one of the worst districts in the entire state. Our governor is trash. He spends millions of dollars of taxpayer money on TikTok videos. Like, it's insanity. It's a clown show inside of these council meetings.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never.
This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy, and we welcome you guys today. You know, one of the most historically blue strongholds in America, Philadelphia, a city where political loyalty had been inherited, not earned. Generations were told that one party had their back. What happened? Crime rose, schools fell, businesses fled, neighborhoods have been left fighting for survival. But every machine eventually cracks, every narrative eventually gets challenged, and right now something different is happening in Philly. It's grassroots, true grassroots, it's unfiltered, and as you'll hear, very unapologetic. Today's guest isn't a pundit sitting behind a desk. He's actually on the ground. He's organizing, he's speaking, he's taking heat, and he's helping build a movement aimed at doing what many people once said was impossible: flipping Philly red. Allante McAuley is an activist behind the Flip Philly Red and joins me today to talk about the mission, the resistance, and the cultural shift that's happening now inside urban America, and why more voters are starting to question the political status quo they've lived under for decades. We're talking crime, media narratives, black voter shifts, and again, grassroots organizing, and what it actually takes to challenge a political machine in one of America's toughest cities. This isn't cable news. This is ground level reality. Let's get into it. And we welcome to the show, Allante McAuley. Allante, good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm feeling good, energetic in the fight, and I thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, it's great to have you here. You always got to go back to the beginning, the origin. What for you flipped politically? Because you, as we talked just for a couple moments before we started recording, you didn't start out red. What
Nah, I didn't.
was the switch that flipped for you politically?
I tell people that you can't not mix the two of your culture and politics. So like I can't separate it, is what I'm saying. It wasn't one moment that said this is it. It was a buildup of things. It was a buildup of my personal life, what type of man, where I was currently in at my life. So this is probably around the summer of 2020. And then I didn't become a Republican on paper until 2023. I didn't become like Team MAGA until the following year when Trump actually came to Philly and I went to my first Trump rally. But during that 4 year from 2020 to 2024, it was just a buildup of what kind of man that I wanted to be. And I understood that my value system and how I was raised to be, I guess you could say in this democratic culture, in this liberal culture, it just wasn't producing the outcomes that I wanted for my life. The type of woman that I was dealing with, the type of friends that I had around me, where my financial situation was, I started realizing that a conservative lifestyle, and not necessarily everybody that's MAGA is a conservative. So like I do want to say that, but like I embrace both of those things. And so I started realizing politics has a huge part in the way that I'm moving in life. And it took me down that rabbit hole, and I started becoming red pilled, as these internet people will say.
Oh,
Yeah.
they say all kinds of crazy things, don't they? You get it.
Yeah.
I love checking that out on your page.
Thank you.
So were you born, raised in Philadelphia? Was that your upbringing experience? Tell me a little bit about the upbringing in Philadelphia and what your life experience was.
The thing is, like my parents, they was married all the way up until maybe I was 13, 14 years old. So like I did have them, had my father up until a certain point. My mom was in the Navy, and my father was in the Marines when they met. So I did grow up in that military discipline style household. I used to get beatings like any other kid. I used to be put on punishment. So like I did have, my father taught me young how to look a man in the eye, firm handshake, how to tie a tie, how to ride a bike. He got me into sports. He got me into wrestling. So like he gave me jewels as a young man to to try to get me on the path to be successful. Where it started to and I had a great relationship with my mom. I have a little brother. We're about 4 years apart, but we're day and night. He's the guy that never got in trouble. He went to college, and I was grateful for that. I was me. I wanted to go in. I wanted to chase the girls. I wanted to go outside. I didn't need to be in a house. And so my life started to change when they got divorced. And so like any other young man, when you just you and your mom, and then like you're becoming a young teenager, you want to go out into the streets, you want your freedom. And I was, me and my father, we clashed, we had beef at that point because how, my mom, like, how'd you hurt my mom? And so I was feeling rebellious and I guess resentful because of that. And then I started to dabble in the streets a little bit. I wanted the clothes, I wanted the girls. I was a late bloomer. I'm still a late bloomer in life. That's just always been, my MO. But like when it finally clicks for me, it clicks. And so I, my mom gave me an option when after high school, because I was just the average student. Like, I could apply, but school really wasn't, talking to me. So I did a little bit of community college. But once again, I wasn't going to class. So I was chasing girls. And so my mom gave me the option. She said either become a cop, join the Navy, or get out. Right. And then so I was a dipshit. I wasn't weed smoker and chasing girls. I wasn't really applying myself. I didn't know really, I wanted to be a rapper. Like I was, just doing everything that, that a Philly person does growing up in this city. And so that was just, my early childhood.
Now, for me, I try to tell people, especially with even some of the rhetoric we've heard from some of these athletes that are over there representing us in the Olympics and things, that you can hate your government, but love your country. And I
Right. That's
just
two different
imagine,
things.
whatever your parents considered themselves politically, most people, not all, but most people that serve in the military have some type of love for their country.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
that would be something that that maybe it wasn't political like we talked about in that way, but more in the essence of, having opportunity here.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that from either one of them. Me and my mother are currently more aligned politically today. Me and my father are on two separate worlds, but I will say that they both love their country. Like he was one of them hoorah Marines. Like he see a
Right.
commercial come across that TV, and it gets him back in his element. So I would never take that from him. We just have two definitions of, I guess, what love for country looks like in today's world.
Yeah. The birth of Flip Philly Red. When did that start, and then your involvement? I mean, you've become, one of the most active members of it. How did that all evolve?
Well, I want to give credit where credit is due. Chicago Flips Red, they were making national news over there because they were going to their city council meetings and they set the tone. And we were at the same time doing our thing, but we just wasn't making national news because I just like you said, I just went viral. I just went to my first city council meeting this year. But in 2024, I guess 23 and 24, when they started gaining national recognition, we were doing our flag waves over here. We were kind of going viral on TikTok for a lot of those type of things. So her name is Mina Quarles. She is the founder of Flip Philly Red. She's been doing grassroots. She's older than me, but she's been doing grassroots work, a good portion of her adult life. Me, like I didn't start getting into the mud into 2024, and that's when I felt God was using me to say that I want you to go to your community and give them an alternative. And he knew that I was strong enough or courageous enough to take on those challenges. And so when I was transforming my personal life in real time, he's taking me down this journey. It finally clicked on me what my purpose in life was. So Flip Philly Red, we started doing the flag waves for President Trump here in Philly, is because we wanted to show people that you do not have to be afraid to represent this party or this coalition, and because it's like you're not supposed to be Republican here. There is our local GOP here is non-existent. I mean, they're here, but we consider them non-existent. They just conceded everything to the Democrats. It's not like the Democrats had the better politicians or the better organization. It's they Mitch McConnell style type of party for whatever reason. So we were the ones getting our MAGA gear, getting on them corners with flags, USA flags, Trump flags, and the cars were going by. And I tell this real quick that we were on the bullhorns and they would crack their window because they hear us yelling. We out there yelling, no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. And, this not China, this not Russia. We just sitting there yelling all this stuff out and, calling her commie, Kamala, whatever we was just saying. They had cracked they they had cracked their window and they're like, what they talking about? And they, then they lowered it a little bit more and we still yelling. Then they start laying on the horn. Right then and there, we knew that it was Patriots here. And so we set the tone with helping candidates, doing door knocking, doing postcard writing. We were doing town halls, podcasting, anything. We knew 2024 was do or die. If we didn't get 2024, like 2026, the same now, but we knew if we didn't get 2024, the country was over. So that's how Flip Philly Red started.
So for you, you mentioned that the rally your first Trump rally was really such a huge deal for you. And I imagine, you probably had to stand in line for a little while, like a lot of people do. Tell me about how you were welcomed by other conservatives, specifically us, us white nationals, Christian
Christian nationalists.
supremacists.
Yeah.
Look, I haven't met any white nationalists in my life. I don't know where
Right.
they're all hiding at, brother. But
They always got a new name. Yeah.
but just tell me how you were greeted or how you were treated when you first came.
Right. So like it was like God just started working on me 20, like it was just clicking. So I came into this on somebody's campaign team. He was running for Congress. And he was the endorsed candidate. President Trump endorsed. So that's how I was able to get to this rally. I mean, it was open to everybody, but this is how I found out about it. So I did stand in line for a little bit. And so, mind you, I was a Republican on paper in 2023 because my values just started to change. I knew Democrats just wasn't the answer anymore, but I wasn't 100% sure about this MAGA thing because, I used to watch CNN, I used to watch MSNBC, and my friends didn't. So I thought I was well informed. I used to watch Aaron Burnett. I used to watch Rachel Maddow. I used to watch Jim Acosta and Jake Tapper. I thought that, that I was smart because I was watching them. And they would tell me about this MAGA coalition and how they're so racist and they're so the energy, it is still in the back of my head, even though I'm a Republican now. Like, are they going to be like, what are you doing here? And we're yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the energy is going to be. So I go there and I'm standing in line, and it's like they just looking at me like I'm normal. Like they wasn't looking direct. It wasn't a weird feeling of why I'm here. It was more so, if I'm here, we must have the same values then. We must care about, the country and where it's at. So we just was having regular small talk conversations, or we were cracking jokes. I mean, these are people that look, you got your middle-aged white men there, you got your biker redneck tattoo people there, you got women that might look like a Riley Gaines or a Charlie Kirk. It didn't matter what the white person looked like. It was just a common regular thing for me to be there. So when that moment happened, I realized that everything that I've been told during my life was a lie. And so when I was in there, it was nothing but energy. It was nothing but love. And this was some of the nicest. I say this on every platform because I stick up for my conservatives, my family. Like, it's a difference between the politicians and the voters down here. And they always trying to lump everything in. Like, these are some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. I done been invited to their homes. I've been given employment. I've been put on campaign teams. This is a black man that's an ex-felon in Philadelphia. So you can't tell me anything about these MAGA conservatives. Like these people are awesome. Like,
We not evil, man.
yeah, all of that stuff they was talking is BS.
Yeah, we want everybody to be successful. It's about that rugged individualism and about being judged on merit. It's
For
about,
sure.
everything that I learned growing up, that being Generation X, and it's actually sad for me now, because in my generation it was really embedded in us growing up that we were all the same, that color just did not matter. And now all of a sudden that's all we hear again. And it's hard, because for me in my life, my black brothers are not my black brothers. They're just my brothers. It just is, what it is. And it just doesn't matter. It's just based strictly on merit. And you kind of got that experience, or that feel that people just took you based on your merit, and what your value system was, and we share that value system. And I think for a long time in this country, that's been lost. That was the value system of the black community. You mentioned history. Well, the history is that the first, after the slaves were freed, the first African Americans, black people that served in the government, were Republicans. All
They
of them.
were.
It
Yes, they
wasn't, I
were.
think, I don't remember, 1932 or something, before the first black Democrat was ever elected. That
Right.
wasn't a thing, because you had also that faith background. And that's what's brought you here too. That's, like you said, you can't separate that, and that's a part of it. And you don't find, I will say this, you find pragmatists in the MAGA movement and Republicans. What you don't find, and that I think they're all Democrats, are people who are just atheists, that just hate God. And that's what I think really you identified with, that you that doesn't work for you inside your value system, to not acknowledge God. I mean, that's, if I'm on the right track there
No, you are.
in hearing
No,
what you're saying.
for sure. When you see some of the interactions I might have online, or some of the comments
Uh-huh.
I might get, but it's a lot of hateful people. And if you don't speak like that, or move like that, if you really are moving with godly energy. So I say this too, I give you this. So in the summer of 2024, when I'm working on myself and I'm making this transition, I'm stepping away, I'm giving away my old life in order to get this new life. They say that that's biblical. And so I started doing everything by myself. Whether I'm working out, going on runs, going to the movies, going out to eat by myself, I'm doing things that I've normally never not done. And so I said, let me go to church by myself. I haven't been to church in years. I was baptized, young, when my parents, probably right after they had got divorced. My mom, we started going to church, her and me, my little brother. And so it's been years since I've been back at my church, and now I go. And so now, President Trump is running. And so, they're 501c3s, they're not supposed to be political. But, when it comes to speaking out against MAGA or Trump, they're going to bend the rules and nobody's going to bat an eye. And so, as I'm crash coursing during this summer of 2024, I'm finding out who Margaret Singer was. Like, I had to, whether it
Right.
was history or the truth or whatever the case may be, and why she wanted to, she was a racist. She wanted to exterminate the black community, and what she was going to do was influence the black woman to, abort their children. And if somebody rebellious like me got wind of what she was trying to accomplish, she would use the charismatic black preacher to get somebody like me in line. So when I'm sitting here in church, these so-called Christians, these so-called godly people, and I'm hearing them, and I'm hearing what they're saying. And if you know that 92% of these black American women, they were either voting because they thought that their abortion, their reproductive rights were being taken away, or they're voting off of gender. These are two idiotic things to be voting off. And it's here in the state of Pennsylvania, they have up to 24 weeks to make that decision. President Trump, they got the Supreme Court returned everything back to the states. So in 2024, that wasn't even an issue for anybody, for women to be on the ballot. And so for you as a pastor, that if I know you're so educated, then you should be talking to your congregation, since you want to be political, and let them know that you need to be looking at more other things other than this. For one, it's wrong because God says it's wrong. But if you're going to talk about it, let them know that it's not an issue. So long story short on this topic is that I realized that, not everybody is spiritually in line. Just because they call themselves Christians, they might not be necessarily following, God's rules and laws. And so like you got to see through the weeds, and that's helped me shape of, and how I got here to this day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You put that very well. I appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in to the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. And as the fucking guy, I'm asking you to do us all a big solid and hit those follows, share the content, let your friends know we're here. God love you, appreciate you. Join us live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 9 o'clock Arizona time. Trump has been the first one, I believe, and he's done it, each time he's increased the numbers of minorities across the board that have voted for him. And I think in the past, one of the mistakes Republicans made is to think that it wasn't possible, that they didn't even attempt to talk to you. And Trump was the first one to show, like, I'm going to go into states, I'm going to go into cities, and I'm going to talk to groups that we're not supposed to, why waste your time with? That's what how the GOP ran. And Trump has turned that around and actually talking. And basically, the Democrats have taken the black community for granted. And
Sure.
I mean, you recognize that. And I think, part of your message is helping more people recognize that, and that you're not just this. To me, the most racist thing, and one of the most racist things, is to think that all black people should think alike.
Yeah,
Which is what
absolutely.
Joe Biden said
Absolutely.
you were elected. Joe
You ain't
Biden
black.
told you weren't black enough, brother.
Yeah, if I don't vote for him, then I'm not black. And so, yeah, they think that we're supposed to be, monolithic in our thinking. President Trump got 21% average across the country of the black in each state for the black male vote. Here in Pennsylvania, he got 26%, higher than the rest of the national average. And of course, a lot of that came from Philadelphia. But what he did was he won with Democrats, independents, and Republicans. It wasn't just Republicans that got him across the finish line. So yes, he came in a deep blue Philly and behind enemy lines. He came to where they said he could not win. And so his thought is, I'm gonna run it up red everywhere else anyway. Let me go steal some votes out of here. Let me go talk to them. So it meant so much that he came to the Leocore Center here down here in the Temple University area to Philadelphia to speak to us. And he was speaking about common sense issues. The Democrat Party, not just black Americans, but just, and I want to gender this, because the Democrats, they have done so much damage to all Americans, but especially men, no matter what color you are. So,
Yes.
feminizing men, trying to not, to put messages out there. Men were under attack, whether it's the, believe every woman, no matter what, she says. And so it was just your sons were under attack. They can't define what a woman was. Like, to me, what I tell people, I don't even want to have a conversation about tariffs. I don't want to talk to you about the border. I don't want to talk to you about illegal aliens. If you cannot define what a woman is, if you think it's 72 genders, we have nothing to talk about. There is no middle ground with me. So, just as a man alone, I just, on principles, I felt that was just enough to listen to what Trump had to speak about. But then, he was talking economically to us, and it just made more sense about, less government, the taxes and how all of that stuff works. And it's just like, me giving my money and not receiving the outcomes, it just was insanity to me. You're telling me that we have to take care of 20 million other people from other countries, and we got people here who need this help. And so all of that played a part of why he did so well with the Black American male vote, and why he continues to gain ground. And I hope the GOP get their head out their ass and pick
Uh-huh.
up on what President Trump has started.
Yeah, I hope they do. And I hope that they're picking this up as you guys picked this up in Philadelphia, and you pointed to Chicago. And now that, that this is that flipping Philly red is being seen, that this inspires other activists. I'm from the Toledo, Ohio area, near the Great Lakes, and about an hour away from Detroit. We were a red state, a red rural community around Toledo, but it was all run by Democrats. And then we got Detroit, an hour north. I mean, I'd love to see a flip Detroit red. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'd love
Yeah.
to see that. And
Right.
so, what kind of inquiries are being made from other places? Are people contacting you to figure out how they can be more active and not just, be frustrated and argue with stupid people online, but how they can actually take action? That's one of the things that we need to get more into with the rest of the time we have here, is that you just haven't talked about it. You've been about it. And because I always hear that, somebody's talking to somebody that's a podcaster that's smart, and they go, well, what do we need to do? You're doing it. This is actually doing something. And obviously you guys are making a difference with that. So what do you see that can spread to other areas?
I mean, it definitely could spread to other areas. I want to say that people absolutely have been reaching out saying, we need to flip Pittsburgh red, or we need to flip, Arizona, whatever,
Yeah.
whoever is not red. Everybody's talking about that, right? And so, like, like Chicago flips red. Like, we've been in contact with them recently. They was when I went viral, they was very gracious. We got on a Zoom call. We talked about, other people's been reaching out to them. So it's not like we're gatekeep. We all American. We all want to see everybody walk away from that Democrat plantation. So the blessing is there. If somebody, but this is the thing though. Um, this is the problem. It has to be your purpose of what you like. I don't. When I wake up, I don't have to get motivated to do what I do. Like, I don't get paid to do what I do. Like, I got a regular 9 to 5. I don't have to be taking the heat that I take or go down to city council. Nobody's telling me to do that. There's no guaranteed financial future in doing what I'm doing. If anything, after, God bless what happened to Charlie Kirk, I'm putting myself more in danger of, especially if I become extremely influential. So it got to be a conversation, and it sounds cliche, but it has to be a purpose and something that when you wake up, and is something driven in you by God, that these beliefs that you have. Now, I say this when I have my meet and greets and my town halls, because people think, that it's going to take one activist, one superhero, one person that got all the answers. I'm never the smartest person in the room. I'm never trying to be the smartest person in the room. I give myself credit that I've realized, and I can see in myself that I have more courage than some people, or I'm in a position to where I can do that. Some people got careers or family dynamics where it won't allow that. So I'm aware of that as well. But there's no sexy answer to getting started. There's no correct one way to do things. So, if flag waving is your thing, if you want to help a candidate get on his team, and you say, I want to start this flip something movement, go for it. If going to your council meetings, your county council meetings is something, go for it. All of those things are great things to do. It takes one person to just be brave in your group, and then pray to God that others will follow. Your group, you're gonna have people fall off. That people are gonna get started. People are gonna get excited. But like me, like it's like the lady who started this, Mina, and me, like we have other people coming on board now. Like more people are coming to my meetings, and the group, I guess, is quote unquote getting bigger. But the hard, grinding, tedious work that you don't see behind the doors is mostly me and her. We would love for other people to sacrifice more of their time in their life, but they want to be able just to see it online, and they want to have hope, and we become symbols of hope, and that's fine. I get it, but we need more people to get off that couch. Football cannot be, more important, and I love me some football. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big Eagles fan, but like I had to sacrifice the last couple seasons because I understood that my country, like the average person, even if you know politics a little bit, like you have no clue how dangerous this country really is in. If we don't win 2020, you don't understand that our sovereignty is how bad it really is. With the George Soroses out here in the World Economic Forum and all these crazy batshit crazy billionaires that want to rip up you really don't have a clue what's going on in Europe right now. So you can't say that your Real Housewives show is more important. You can't say that your football fantasy league is more important. You're going to have to sacrifice some things in life and you have to go to your school board meetings. That's not sexy thing to do, but somebody's trying to say that a man who has mental health issues that wants to wear a dress, that wants to read books to your children, they want your children to have to go through that. Or tell your daughter that she should be, it's not preach pro family. Wait till you get married. They want her. So all of these things that you're going to have to start, especially men, because men lead. That's Bible. You as a man, you're supposed to be leading. So I mean, that's my answer to that.
Yeah, you touched on this, and how do you feel about the recent movement by teachers unions and teachers across the country, just brainwashing these kids, and maybe not even brainwashing, because as a kid, I don't know how many of them actually even care. If you want to talk to me about going outside and I don't have to do regular schoolwork, I mean, it sounds like how you felt about school and how I felt are similar. If somebody told us, oh, like let's go out and protest and it'll be cool, like we'd have went. What's your thoughts on what's currently going on though with the teachers unions and the kids?
So when we talk about eliminating the Department of Education, that was started by Jimmy Carter in 1979 or something like that. And so when we talk about these things, the radical left or whatever, even if you're a moderate, they lose their minds. Like, what do you want to do? So when we're telling you, I'm gonna give you small. I always bring it to local because I know my local numbers. The Philadelphia School District, the kids grades 3rd through 8th, they're graduating with proficiency levels in reading at 34%. Their arithmetic level is at 25%. So while you sitting here telling them they should be concerned about ICE or ICE out movers, and you're not, educating them on what that really is about, but you're just getting them riled up. And so while we had these type of test scores, this is what they're graduating with for reading and math. This is what you need to be focused on. And so when we talk about the bureaucracy and not being able to get things done, and why they had these the administrations in these school districts are growing, non-teaching administrations, because the child has emotional problems, you can't suspend them, they have to go see a therapist, and the therapist is telling them to self-medicate, it's okay, all of this BS. This is the indoctrination that we're talking about when we use these words, these buzzwords of indoctrination. This is so these teacher unions, are a huge problem. Not necessarily every teacher, but these teacher unions. And so you're radicalizing these students that hate their country. These students can't tell you who the first 5 presidents of the United States were. They can't tell you who the last 5 was. They know Obama. They probably know Biden and Trump now. That's it. But they can't tell you, anything in that Constitution. They can't tell you who these historical people were, but they hate their country. They teach black, especially black kids or black Americans. We had this hate for authority, a hate for police. We think every one of our founders was extremely racist and did these evil men, and it's not put in its proper context. And so you got kids talking about they hated Charlie Kirk and all of this stuff. These are children. Children don't know hate, they're taught hate. So all of this is wrapped up into your question and what you're asking me. And so like I have like we're at war. And I need people who will watch your platform to understand that we're at war. They don't have to be necessarily bullets flying. You got soldiers dying over there in the Middle East when you think about war. You got people who want to radicalize our children. That's why they always attacking them in every which way and form. And if parents don't start waking up and getting involved, you're just creating a whole new generation of batshit crazy liberals. And we're going to lose our country.
And I got to imagine that you're not well liked by most of these board members or council members, because until you and the founder, until you guys started showing up, how much were these guys being held accountable? They could have their little meetings and do whatever the hell they wanted. Now they, they're being put on the spot, and they have to, questions are being asked and they're having to answer. And that's going to draw some media attention, from local media to see there. Because now the council meeting that was boring is now exciting. And, a clip of them is going to be on the 6 o'clock news. So they have to answer for the things that have been done. And that's, how I came across you. And I encourage other people to watch those videos. That's are like this guy, and why I wanted to talk to you is specifically just how you were speaking out at these council meetings and how important that was. But I can imagine when they see you walk in the door with your red hat, they're taking deep breaths and shaking their head.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. I hate that we only get 2 minutes to speak because it's hard. You're trying to. I've been there twice now, and so now, but the first time I felt like I really got to what I was hitting it. The second time, like I felt like I made great points, but like it was a little choppy. So you're trying to find the rhythm. You're trying to hit your points, and you're trying to be articulate at the same time, and you want to control the room. So it's hard to kind of do that, in 2 minutes. So when I went in there. Of course, I'm a lightning rod, and I'm purposely trying to, bring that energy because once again, I'm letting people know that if you like President Trump, it's okay. And you don't got to say, well, I hate this. I like President Trump, but I don't agree with everything. There is no buts. There's nobody on this planet who I agree with 100%. So why do I got to make that caveat and put that disclaimer out there and preface my comments for President Trump? But going in there, you see the level of insanity that's in these council meetings, and they have students coming in there periodically, whether they're receiving awards. Sometimes they might get them to speak. It's all different type of business owners and adults. And if you never hear an alternative, if you never hear a pushback, you think that this is okay. You think that this is the way. So going in there, you're starting to see all of the insanity. They had a preacher in there, LGBTQ plus preacher in there, the last time that I went. And he said the prayer in the morning time. Now, if he had just got up there and he never said a word about his sexual preference, I wouldn't have known. He would have just got up there, but he spent 10 minutes up there talking about, he's a preacher, got the collar on. The LGBTQ plus community, attracted the minor persons community. He's up there giving prayer. And I'm looking at all these, the room full of black people. You got your white liberals in there as well. And I'm looking at, and nobody's saying a word. This is getting normalized now. You got kids in here, and he's speaking about 10 minutes about his sexual lifestyle and how far and what they had to overcome. And they try to mix that in with the Black American plight.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's a lot of victim mentality, a lot of slave talk, because it's Black History Month at that. So they're giving each other awards, a bunch of platitudes. They're going up there taking pictures like they accomplished something. Philadelphia has extremely high crime. It's extremely violent. Our school district is one of the worst districts in the entire state. They rank at the bottom 22% in the entire state. Our governor is trash. He spends millions of dollars of taxpayer money on TikTok videos. It's insanity. It's a clown show inside of these council meetings. And so the second time I went, because that viral moment where they cut my mic off, the president of the council, Kenyatta, and the lady that I called out, council member Jamie Guthier, they saw me in there the second time. And so what they did is, after they went through their morning motions, once it was time for everybody to, the constituents to speak, them two got up and left. So the president handed the motion, the procedures over to another member, and she got up there and left because they didn't know if I was coming in there to address the mic cut off or give them more bad publicity. So to your point, yes, there's more eyes on us than there's ever been. It's bringing more attention, whether it's in our own party from the GOP or from the Democrats, from local news. We made America's Voice News the other day, that clip, so that was a big deal for me. And so I'm gonna continue to go, and I'm gonna continue to bring pressure because I know my stuff, and you're going to be challenged and you're going to be put on the spot.
Now, for yourself, have you thought about taking the next step and actually running for an office yourself?
So I am challenging the current. No, this is not on the ballot, this particular race, because this is an inside thing. But I am challenging my local GOP chairman, Vince Finity. So he's been an absolute disgrace here in Philadelphia, cutting deals with the Democrats, and he's just completely handed the city over. So I'm challenging him for that position. So that's an internal decision, but I am on the ballot to be a state committee member. So the voters will have a chance to get me, in those rooms where endorsements are being made. We're trying to find out who will be good candidates to represent we the people. But far as something big, like a state, a council, state rep, Congress, mayor, whatever, gotta be on hold for that. Look out for that. So I'm thinking about it, strongly thinking about it.
And I think that from what you've told me, and I totally believe this, when you feel it put upon you by God, you'll answer the call.
For sure, it's a complete because I'm working on myself in real time. My
Yes.
life, I grew up, in the streets. I'm an ex-felon. I lived a whole different life than this was not on my bingo card. I was used to be in strip clubs. I used to be a drug dealer. Like I wasn't doing this. So as I'm working on myself and God is building me up to, what I envision myself to be, and he tells me, this is going to be your responsibility. You're going to take on this weight, then I'm going to go for it.
Well, I hope that you do, and because we need more people, need more people like that. What, as far as media, where are you trying to take? You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram. I've seen you. How are you trying to grow that message? And what else can we do to help you that happen for you?
I mean, I'm on every platform. Every platform has its own algorithm. We know about these algorithms and what they allow to go into those pools or not. And so I am mostly across the board, like Facebook, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, and X. You will find me at Allante McAuley. On TikTok, I'm under my podcast, What You Scared to Say Podcast, the letter U though. So not YOU, but the letter U, What You Scared to Say Podcast. And we also have a Flip Philly Red TikTok page we're growing as well. So yes, Allante McAuley across the board for most of the platforms. And it's mostly, I tell people that content drives everything now. And so whether it's just podcasts that, you graciously had me on, and I'm always willing to come back on if you'll have me. It's just about doing town halls. It's about getting the content, whether it's the flag waves, and putting it out there, because not everybody is mobile. Not everybody can get everywhere. And content, you can, instead of manpower door knocking 50 doors, I can hit 50,000 people with one influential clip. So, it's more of this.
Yeah, and we have that opportunity now with mainstream media becoming less and less important, and
Right.
I guess the generation that media matters to, starts to fade
Yeah.
away a little bit.
Right.
I'm not wishing any bad things on old people.
Right.
I'm a young old people myself, not to be around as long as I can, but especially with those under 50 and in the 30s and 40s, the mainstream media just is not where it's at anymore. And you were there for a moment, and now using these platforms yourself to spread this message. I can't thank you enough, brother, from coming on, and absolutely would love to have you come on again as different issues come up, and we can, have you join us on the live broadcast and talk about specific issues that are in the news. because again, we agree that, the clips and all the other things, this great time that we spent together is awesome. And I want, I want many people to see the whole program, but I know that the biggest attention is going to be the drops, the clips that can bring people in. And we've done, an hour of content that we can use for that now and continue to build and giving each other voice, helping each other out, and that's why I reached out too, to for benefit both of us, because we, I felt that passion and that mission and that what you talked about being a man and leadership. And we need to stop apologizing for being men like we're supposed to be. And it's our time to step up, and God expects us to. And I don't know if it's a conspiracy or not, but I kind of think that it is, that, I'm in the business of helping men with low testosterone. And there's a lot of low testosterone men. Yes, and it has to do with our food and, all kinds of things that are driving that too. It's, not just on purpose, but absolutely, we can help that. But men need to be men, and testosterone is what makes a man. And if it wasn't, they wouldn't be giving women testosterone. They want to be men, right? Right. Well, I thank you, brother, very much. We're going to have the links for everybody underneath here. And thank you again for today. And come back and join us soon, all right?
All right. Thank you for having me anytime.
Allante McAuley, our guest here on the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting.